Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and welcome. I'm very pleased to be joined by Robert Seehawer. Robert is the Managing Director of AquaVentus. So welcome, Robert. Pleased to see you.
Yeah, pleased to see you, Nadim. Good morning.
Morning. So AquaVentus was a project that we first came to know about 2 years ago. We interviewed your predecessor. Very interesting, visionary project at the time with the vision of 10 gigawatts of green hydrogen or offshore wind powering the development of green hydrogen offshore and bringing that hydrogen into Germany, into the heartlands to help power various applications. I guess there's been some dramatic changes in the last 2 years, specifically, I guess in the German energy market. And so yeah, it'd be good to catch up to see how AquaVentus is developing. Obviously, it was a quite, as I said, visionary project, and I gather things are gathering pace at quite a tremendous pace. So yeah, if you want to give us a big overview around the project and how it's going and how some of the challenges are.
Yeah, sure, my pleasure. I mean, the project vision is still alive. I think it even shaped further, and I kind of switched the term from vision to ambition as to get it a little more concrete. I think we gained a little bit of, or we gained obviously political momentum and a lot of political support, and to our that's not surprise, but also to our. That's what we wanted basically, and now it can't be quick enough and big enough, as you were saying. Obviously, the energy landscape has changed dramatically. I think 2 years ago, fossil gas prices had been in the single-digit area, and now in the meantime, especially last year, we had a 3-digit area. So green hydrogen production was coming very much into the money. However, what we are talking about at AquaVentus is really a large-scale project. That's not a tiny testing. It's really 10 gigawatts offshore. And therefore, we need a lot of infrastructure and we need a lot of technical learnings coming to that aim. And in order to achieve these technical learnings, we do have a couple of subsequent steps in between. So we are starting with it 15 megawatts offshore wind electrolysis production of green hydrogen. And that is a kind of demonstrator project close by the island of Heligoland. And from that, we intend to take a lot of learnings and a lot of learnings away in order to achieve some cost reductions to do the second step, which would be an area which is 100 kilometers off Heligoland. So where we do have the possibilities set by the German ministries and German states to test or to larger scale or roll it out to a larger scale of 1 gigawatt capacity, but still
it's a big test. 1 gigawatt.
it's too big, to be honest. So starting from 15 megawatts to 1 gigawatt would be, as said, suicidal if we do that in one go. Therefore, AquaVentus lobbies quite hard with its members to have that cut into slices and at least into 2 parts, and then starting with a smaller part. And initially, the area was set to 300 megawatts. I think the members and also the consortia of Aqua Sector, which is that part is named, or that project is named Aqua Sector.
Yeah.
And that is very happy with 300 megawatts, and for the ramp up for the start, and then followed by a 700 megawatts project. So this stepwise approach makes perfect sense. And in order to get the learnings, in order to also integrate a lot of new technologies, innovative technologies, as we are talking about offshore, as we're talking about salty water or salt water, as we are talking about a very far away electrolyzer. And especially that needs to be new techniques in terms of monitoring that performance and having that obviously inside. I'm talking about predictive maintenance, for example. So that's all something which is not required onshore, and which is especially in winter times under harsh weather conditions. So the industry needs to be ready for that. Plus the supply chain need to be ready for that as well.
Yeah, you mentioned members. Obviously, AquaVentus is a consortium of companies right across the value chain. I remember when I spoke to your predecessor, you were around about sort of 35 companies. I'm assuming you've grown some, and can you give us just an understanding of how the consortium works and who the members are briefly?
Yeah, obviously that member base basically grew from 35 initially, as you said, to around about 100 members now, and it is obviously the who's who of the European energy industry.
Yeah.
And let's put it that way, quite frank, some are more engaged and some are less engaged. However, I think they're all united by having that offshore hydrogen production aim and ambition, following that ambition. Because if we succeed in our stepwise approach, step one, this first demonstrator project and the 1 gigawatt project, we are obviously aiming in the German part of the North Sea. We're aiming for 10 gigawatts offshore, and that boat is big enough for having a couple of consortia included, and also to have that everybody basically takes their slice of the cake. And also, I mean, we are not alone. And the German part of the North Sea is it's a small towel. If we are thinking about an international or European-wide cooperation together with the Dutch, the Danes, Norwegians, and the UK areas, I mean, we see clearly a potential factor of 10 gigawatts. And in order to realize, then this plays into the hands of another part of AquaVentus, which is called the AquaDuctus project, which is the pipeline or offshore green hydrogen pipeline initiative that needs to be coordinated and also planned European-wide.
So it's sort of like a ring connecting up different offshore wind farms or around those different geographies. And in terms of I mean, I guess at this stage, and you mentioned the project Aqua Primus, I think in Heligoland. That, I mean, in terms of this stage, you obviously need some support mechanisms in order to help develop the technology and underwrite some of the R&D investments that are going to needed to help develop some of these specific technology that's suitable for the region, for the harsh environment that you mentioned. So are those support mechanisms coming in place now?
Absolutely, that's absolutely correct. So we do have Aqua Primus also IPCEI qualified. So basically, it is an important project. So and we are waiting for receiving the notification every day, basically. And then if we are talking about the sector, this 1 gigawatt project, and there is some state help and state funding required in order to get away this first mover disadvantage. Yeah. So there is a lot of investment required for installing, so a lot of capex investment for the investment or for the installation, plus the green hydrogen. We're talking about, as a rule of thumb, maybe 100,000 tons per year. But still, that hydrogen, due to this high capex investment, is also coming very high to the market. So in order and needs to compete with fossil gas, for example, in the chemical or in the steel industry. So therefore, there's also some funding required on the OPEX. So, and this is, I think, more than 50% of my role currently is talking to political decision makers in order to get the funding mechanism in place that we can really ramp up the market and getting these projects off the ground in order to produce the green and fossil-free hydrogen, which is urgently required. Yeah,
and that it's essentially de-risking that development, that industrial development. And what are some of the other I guess key areas where you need assistance or help when you're looking to help grow the amount of companies? It's about sort of sharing knowledge. What are some of the other steps coming up over the next year or so?
I think first of all, we need to have that pipeline infrastructure European-wide thought, not only for the German part. So Aquaductus basically is the German part. However, we need to have that connected across all the North Sea neighbors, basically. And then secondly, we need to have that funding available in order to start with really larger scale offshore hydrogen production. As said, there is a first mover disadvantage. However, we are very, very certain that step by step we are realizing cost cutting effects or cost depreciation, but we are going to realize cost reduction effects exactly in the area step by 30 to 35%. So basically the production of green hydrogen is getting cheaper and cheaper, and that also de-risks the whole projects. You know, I mean, it would be really stupid to start with a too big area and then stretch the supply chain too much and put a lot of risk on each individual part. So it needs to be, it's a sustainable product, and we need to also grow the market in a sustainable way. And we do that with small steps in the beginning, but then having bigger and bigger steps inside and planning that ahead. And especially in this year, we are hoping to get these the tenders for the 1 gigawatt area of the ground or parts of it, as said. So in starting with the smaller piece of that this year, and then getting all the knowledge acquired in order to put that off the ground, and that would be really good.
I guess we didn't sort of discuss I mean, it's quite a harsh environment, as you mentioned, and you I imagine need to develop specific, electrolyzer technologies suitable for that climate. The membranes don't get salted up, etc. Why is it not easier just to bring electricity onshore and do the electrolysis there, or what were some of the original thoughts around that?
Absolutely, that's easier if you think about the areas 50 to maybe 100 or 100 kilometers away from shore, and that part of the North Sea is already planned for power and electricity production, and then bringing the power onshore and having the electrolysis there, or having the power electricity consumption. There's nothing against that, but however, we at AquaVentus, we are thinking about, let's say, the center of the North Sea. The German part is called the Dachs Peak. It's a small town, and it goes up to 400 kilometers into the North Sea. And the electricity grid, electricity transmission system operators, their books are full until the year 2040. However, we would like to access that area earlier, maybe already in 2035, and with the step in between sector by 2030. And the pipeline makes that available, because the pipeline is a kind of a grateful technology, I would call it. If you have, it's got the same cost than a 2 gigawatt HVDC cable. So you have a lot of cost factor, and it transports maybe 5 or 6 times the energy. And if you have more energy, it's a big storage. It's a big storage. And if you have more energy to produce, you just kind of, not just, but you increase the pressure, and you have more energy going through. So therefore, and the technology is kind of saturated. I mean, we have offshore pipelines or onshore pipelines since several decades. That makes basically our concept so economically viable, as it is really for the far-flung areas in the North Sea that will be accessed by grid cables or by sea cables, maybe 2040 or later. However, climate change doesn't stop. I mean, we have to do it quicker. We have to be quicker, and we have to scale it up more, and make it more accessible. And the pipeline does help.
Yeah, perfect, excellent. Well, it's a fascinating project. Obviously, moving now, and you obviously your first project, I think the Heligoland project is due in 2026. So yeah, we wish you luck with all the learnings and building those sort of project pipelines around, especially around that 1 gigawatt area, sounds fascinating. You're obviously going to be speaking at the World Electrolysis Congress, which is taking place in Dusseldorf, 14th to 16th of March. So we look forward to hearing more and listening in on the debates as we help sort of accelerate and develop what is a fascinating part of the hydrogen industry.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward and meeting a lot of industry leaders at this Congress. And as said, I mean, if we are succeeding in developing the technology further, that cake is so big that everybody needs to take a piece, and really urging everybody to take a piece in order to fill that, to eat the cake and benefit to it. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, we look forward to helping the cake get eaten. So many thanks, Robert. Take care.
Thank you, and you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.